Top-level intro, Netflix style, 5 lines. On a cold city evening. Rain hammered the sidewalks like nails. 2. Hungry boys found a wallet that could change their lives. They chose honesty instead of escape. A door opened to a past they never knew and a future they couldn't imagine. This is how character turned into family, and family turned into hope. The wallet in the rain. The storm was the kind that makes rich people run and poor people stop. Jerome and Javier, 11-year-old twins from Angel's group home, did not stop. They leaned into the wind, jackets thin, shoes soaked, umbrella cracked. At the curb, a leather wallet slid toward the storm drain. Fat with cash, slick with rain. Jerome dropped to his knees. His fingers closed on the leather just before the gutter swallowed it. He opened it because he had to. $100 bills stacked like a miracle. Cards with a single name, Raymond Whitmore. 3,000, Javier whispered, stomach tight. We could feed everyone for weeks. Jerome's face was pale and firm. It isn't ours. 20 blocks to the address on the card. No phone, no bus fare. Just 2 boys who had nothing except a promise they kept making to themselves. Be good, even when it hurts. They called out to the man whose phone had shattered on the pavement. He looked up, startled, older than his perfect coat, eyes tired with power. When he saw the wallet in Jerome's hands, he blinked like a man waking from a long dream. You didn't take anything? He asked. Javier shook his head. We don't keep what isn't ours. Something cracked and softened in the man's face. Come inside, he said, voice unsteady. At least get warm. In a neon diner that smelled like coffee and steam, the boys cupped hot chocolate in cold hands and ate soup like it was a holiday. The man watched them with a strange, careful reverence, like he was afraid they might vanish if he blinked. He asked their names. They answered together, Jerome and Javier Davis. He asked where they lived. They said Angel's group home. He asked one more thing. Could he see their picture of their mother, the one they kept under a shirt wrapped to stay dry? They showed him. Her name written on the back in faded ink rocked him like thunder. Sarah. The rain eased to a silver whisper. The boys refused money. They refused a reward. They left with only heat in their bellies and a man's gratitude in the air behind them. They did not see him watching the door after they were gone, hands trembling over the photo. The House of Angel's group home woke before sunrise because hungry kids don't sleep late. 23 children, 3 adults, a budget that snapped like an old rubber band. Miss Carter moved through the chaos with a tired smile and a lion's heart. She called Jerome and Javier my angels because they helped tie shoes, mend feelings, and split toast into fair halves. That morning's bread was thin. Jerome cut his slice smaller and slid the bigger piece to a first grader who swallowed tears with crumbs. The twins walked the 2 miles to school. Rain or shine. When it rained, they told stories, promises they built like scaffolding. One day, a place where every kid has a bed, a warm kitchen, and a door that always opens. At the public library after school, Mrs. Rodriguez pretended not to see their frayed cuffs and wet socks. She slipped granola bars into returned book piles like tiny acts of mercy. Your parents raised you? Well, she once said. Jerome smiled because smiling was easier than explaining that they never knew their father and only remembered their mother threw ink on the back of a photograph. At night they lay in their shared bunk, flashlight under a blanket, staring at the picture of the young black woman holding 2 newborns. Do you think she'd be proud? Javier would ask. Jerome answered the only way his heart knew how. She's watching. She's hoping we don't break. They did not know the city had already begun to bend toward them. The name in the paper on the 45th floor. The city looked like a map drawn in light. Raymond Whitmore sat under it. the king of a glass kingdom, and stared at two words: Sarah Davis. His assistant slid a thin file across the desk at midnight. Death certificate, October 15, 2012. Age 19, complications after childbirth. Twins born same day, Jerome and Niska Javier Teran. Father listed unknown, sir. There's a marriage certificate, she whispered. Another document. Another hand. Michael James Whitmore. The son he had disowned when Michael chose love over the family name. The son who took his middle name and walked out under storm clouds 11 years. The room tilted. Michael died 5 days before his sons were born, driving through rain toward a hospital and a forgiveness that never arrived. The old man closed his eyes and pride felt like poison. He had spent a decade filling a penthouse and starving a heart. And then 2 boys returned a wallet in a storm. I think, he said to the dark window, voice shaking, I just met my grandsons. The truth in a small room morning. No $1,000 suit, no driver. Just a sweater, old jeans, and hands that wouldn't stop shaking. Miss Carter opened the door, eyes wary, posture strong. Mr. Whitmore? I need to speak to Jerome and Javier, he said softly. About their family. In the small visiting room with peeling paint and steady hope, the twins sat across from a stranger who felt familiar. He asked to see the picture again. He told them about Michael in gentle, funny, brilliant, and about Sarah, brave, kind, 19, radiant. He told them about a mistake that cost him his son, about hard words he couldn't unsay, about prejudice that hid in standards and status, and how those words break lives in clean daylight, the same way storms do at night. The twins didn't shout. They listened the way hungry kids learn to listen, carefully, completely. Your father loved you, he said at last, voice breaking. I was wrong. I missed everything. But if you let me, I will never miss you again. Silence. Then Jerome's lip trembled. Javier held his hand. Does this mean we're not alone anymore? Javier asked. You never were, the man whispered. You had each other. Now you have me, if you want me. Jerome looked at his brother. Back at the man. Can we call you Grandpa? He broke. Old grief poured out like rain through a cracked roof. Miss Carter cried too, quiet and full, because sometimes joy and sorrow use the same door. A foundation with 2 names, the penthouse changed first. Marble floors met muddy sneakers without complaint. The refrigerator wore crayon masterpieces like medals. The dining table became a homework island. Saturday morning smelled like pancakes because Jerome said cooking is love, and Grandpa learned that love sticks to pans and people. School changed next, not because of uniforms or buses, but because 2 boys carried gentleness into hallways and made it contagious. They launched a Big Brother program for shy kids. Javier started a sketch wall labeled, Someday, Buildings. Teachers stopped them in corridors to say, You two make this place kinder. Angel's group home didn't just improve, it transformed. New beds, warm, real food, extra staff, a classroom with books that smelled new, a music room where a boy who never spoke began to hum. And then came the ribbon, the crowd, the cameras, the Michael and Sarah Foundation. Named for love and loss and the 2 people who taught them everything without living to see it. Jerome's voice trembled at the microphone. This is for every kid who wants to belong. Javier lifted the scissors with steady hands. And for every grown-up who forgot how to say I'm sorry and then remembered. Programs bloomed like spring after a hard winter. Emergency beds, so siblings aren't torn apart at 2 a.m. Grandpa's kitchen, with no questions asked meals. Study nooks, staffed by college volunteers who used to be foster kids. The Davis Community Campus, designed by children, for children. Gardens, art rooms, a playground shaped like a castle and a spaceship, because dreams need both. The numbers moved. Child homelessness fell. School attendance rose. People who only read headlines now read names. And the old man at the window smiled differently, not like a king, like a grandfather. The garden where storms end. 2 years later, the rain came again, softer this time, like the city had learned manners. At the same corner where the wallet once slid toward the drain, 3 small figures huddled under one umbrella. An 8-year-old girl named Sophia, tears mixing with raindrops, and 2 boys from the campus program, offering lunch money and comfort without pride. Jerome and Javier watched from the car, taller now, still humble. "They're us," Javier said softly. Jerome nodded. "And look, no one taught them to pass by." Inside the campus gate, a small garden bloomed by the sign. The Sarah and Michael Davis Garden, where love conquers all. The plaque never bragged, just told the truth. Grandpa joined them on the path, steps slower, eyes brighter. He carried a paper bag that smelled like cinnamon. "For Miss Carter," he said. "She says the music room needs more muffins." They stood together under the awning, 3 generations stitched by a storm and a choice. The twins lifted their faces to the rain. Outro, documentary epilogue. The wallet was never the point. The choice was 2 boys chose character over cash. And character called family by its real name. Family chose courage over pride. In courage turned apology into action. Action fed children, rebuilt homes, and taught a city to measure wealth in beds filled, bowls warmed and hearts unafraid. Somewhere, another storm is starting. Somewhere, a small choice waits at a curb. Pick it up. Keep the promise. Let love do the rest. Credits roll, call to action, easy English. If this story touched you, restores like, comment, and share. Tell someone young. You matter. You belong. Tell someone older. It's never too late to say you're sorry and then prove it.